Good afternoon. Thank you for joining us for our weekly live stream. This week, there are three of us on right now, our Executive Director, Jenny Hill, and our recruitment specialist, Camila Galliano. Something that Camila and I do a lot that we both really miss doing, typically what we do is we go have coffees with potential CASAs, people who want to know more. And we just sit down with the two of us and them and have coffee and answer all their questions, tell them everything they need to know. We miss doing that. And we know people miss having that kind of information. So something we decided to do today is to discuss with you some of the questions that we get over and over and over again. Those frequently asked questions that people ask, maybe they don't want to ask in a group, but they want to ask one-on-one. And so we're going to provide some of those answers today. But we're going to start, one thing that's kind of great that we don't typically have at those coffees is our Executive Director, Jenny Hill. Mm-hmm. And so that makes this one a little special. So I'm going to throw it over to her.
Thank you so much, Kathy, and thank you everybody that's watching. Yes, it is exciting to have me or not. I am stuck in my home, as all of you are, with two 6-year-olds who are very much done with distance learning education and ready to go to the pool and get to do exciting things, right? Not be stuck in our homes as we all are. But I appreciate everybody's support and interest in CASA and what we're doing. I know many of you are volunteers who continue to do tremendous feats to serve kids in our community during this time. We're forever grateful for all the things that you're doing, checking in bi-weekly with our kiddos to make sure they have their needs met, talking with foster families, making sure that if educational resources are lacking, we can get those, or other resources, medical, therapeutic providers, how we can help assist in that way. And I know it's really uncharted territory during this time. Usually, campaign on Give From Home on Tuesday. So we want to thank those supporters that donated to continue our organizational operations. On Tuesday, we do still continue to need that funding support. As you heard me mention, we did have our 2 special events that we had to cancel, unfortunately. And that usually brings in around $250,000 of unrestricted support to our organization during the springtime that helps fuel and assist annual advocacy services to kids in foster care. So we're always appreciative of the community support that we receive and really thankful for new donors that we've seen come out during this time to support CASA and ensure that we're able to continue our operations and supportive services of kids in foster care in Oklahoma County. So I just want to say thank you. Thank you to the community. Thank you for your interest and your continued support. We have a webpage that's been put together as well that you can see more actively about what we're doing and our response and services around COVID-19, because we are really trying to continue services even though they look differently through the virtual lens, but trying to make sure kids in our community aren't losing that contact and that connection with their CASA and still getting appointed to new cases during this time. So I just want to say a big thank you to our presiding judge, Trevor Pemberton, who's been very supportive and has made sure that we can continue to get those appointments made, as well as virtually swearing in new volunteers and just continue to make sure that CASA is effective in our community. So, Kathy, am I missing anything? Camilla, am I missing anything?
You got it all. Cover everything.
Good. Awesome. Well, and Jenny's right, and we can't stop because unfortunately, and I don't think this is a big secret, that children who are already at risk of abuse and neglect are far more at risk now, and that's just the unfortunate truth. That in a time like this, it's unprecedented. We're going to see unprecedented need for child advocacy, and that means an increased need in CASA volunteers and an increased need in funding to support them and train them and supervise them. And so we can't stop recruiting and talking to everybody and stuff. So she is right. So we're gonna get into some frequently asked questions. Us, man, like feel free to type in some questions, and we'll see if you can't make us speechless. It's hard to do. So I'll let Camila start with some of those questions. What's a question that we get all the time, Camila?
Hi everyone. Well, like Kathy was saying, we used to love going to coffee shops all around the city, posting ourselves and meeting all these prospective causes that were interested about learning more about what we did, our organization, and everything that happened between applying and actually taking a case as a CASA volunteer. So one question that we get a lot is about the specific qualifications. A lot of people think that they have to be a lawyer, attorney, or just be somehow in the legal field in order to serve as a CASA. That is a myth. That is not true. We have people from every single career. We have teachers, engineers, nurses, people from the nonprofit sector, private sector, accountants, retired people. And we love that. We love that diversity in backgrounds, that you do not have to have any experience in the legal services, social services. That is our job. Whenever you get assigned to a case, you get an advocate supervisor, and that is the person that is the expert on the field, on the system. You are the expert in that family and those children. You do not have to be a lawyer again. You just need to be a caring person with a heart of gold, wanting to help the children in your community. You must be over 21, 21 or over. You must be able to pass a background check because we do tons of background checks. As you can imagine, as a CASA, people have access to children and very sensitive information. So Kathy and I like to get to know people really well. And amongst those steps, we do confidential interviews, we check references, but then again, we run tons of background checks, criminal background checks, motor vehicle background checks, sex offender background checks. So we vet you thoroughly before you become a CASA. Once again, you do not have to have any previous experience in the legal field or the social services or child welfare. That is our job. At the same time, you go to training, and training does a wonderful job of giving you all the tools that you need to be an effective advocate. It lays the groundwork for becoming a CASA, and once you're done with training and take a case, you have your supervisor with you at all times. They go to court with you, they help you with court reports, they can go on visits with you. So they're your lifeline for everything and anything when it comes to CASA work. That's where you have all the support and you don't need any previous experience.
Definitely. And I think that's a great thing to clear up right off the bat, because people think, in fact, we hear this when people ask me where I work and I tell them, they say, oh, I could never do that. And my thought is, oh, but you could. You probably could. And so I think it's important for people to know you're probably qualified. And if you want to ask us privately, so the maximum age for a CASA volunteer, we have a question. Thank you, Teresa, for asking a question. We don't have a maximum age. That's not something that we've ever addressed. If you're wondering if it's less about age at that end than it is about your how you feel and how comfortable you are performing the tasks of a CASA volunteer. And so that's something where if you have specific questions, we can talk about requirements physically and things like that, and but no, there's no actual maximum age. We have CASA volunteers from their early 20s into their 80s, and we love them. That diversity in age is such a strength, and it's so important. So we would love to talk to anyone about being a CASA who is over 21. Even if they're 20 and already want to start talking about it, we can do that too.
Sure.
So it looks like we got a question about how much time is required. That's a great question. And that is a frequently asked question for sure. And so most of our CASA volunteers are still working full time. They have kids at home. People come to us already busy all the time. The average CASA spends a total of around 12 to 15 hours a month on their CASA case. That can vary. You might spend 1 week where you spend 8 hours on your CASA case and then aren't doing anything on it for the next 10 days. And it's actually more flexible than anyone would really think. The only things that aren't flexible are training classes are at a specific time. So when you're going through training, those are weekly classes. And then court. Obviously, a judge says, hey, we have court at this day and this time, and we show up. But other than that, you are scheduling your visits with your CASA child, you're emailing and calling other professionals on the case on your own time. So it's flexible, and it is definitely something that most people can fit into even an already busy schedule. So there's no need to, you can have a full-time job and do this. In fact, most of our CASAs do.
And I will also say that when it comes to a time requirement, when Kathy and I do that confidential interview that I mentioned before, we get to know you really well. And then we ask you about your preferences, availability. Then again, we do ask CASAs to keep an open mind because we just don't know what kind of cases we have ready to be assigned to a CASA. But we would like to accommodate to you as best as we can. So we ask traveling time, availability time, and every case is so different. There's so many factors that impact the length of time required to be a CASA for that case. But during that interview, we ask you all those questions, and we want you to be upfront and tell us what you feel comfortable with, your availability, your time commitment that you're willing to put in as a CASA. So we'll definitely try to accommodate to your needs as well.
That's a great point. That 12 to 15 hours a month is an average. And so if you have a case with one kid and there's not a whole lot going on, that's going to take a lot less time. And so for our CASA volunteers who have a little less free time, Camille is right. We take that into account. That's an important part of matching. And then we've gotten some more questions. Yay, you guys thank you for asking questions. It's exciting. So I'll start with one, how much training is required? So we provide all of your training. Our training is a national curriculum that is adapted to local standards, local laws, and it is a total of 30 hours of training. 24 of that is in class. So it's a weekly 3-hour class for 8 weeks, usually on a Tuesday evening, but we do offer training times maybe during the day or something like that. So we can talk about what training classes are coming up and see if we have something that fits for your schedule. And then the other 6 hours are some things you do in between the training classes. There's some readings to do, some videos to watch, things like that. You'll also do during training is come to court one day and just be a fly on the wall for a little bit in court, and so you can kind of demystify that courtroom and see what goes on in there and how that all works. And then we also provide a lot of opportunities for ongoing trainings. We have a lot of really cool trainings here in the CASA office, but then we also have a lot of resources we give to you for training that you can do on your own time as well. So, and then we asked, so Brandy's asking, will someone shadow us on our first assignment? So you'll get once you get sworn in, you get a case. And when you get a case, you also get an advocacy supervisor. That is that staff person that is your go-to. And they go with you at least on that very first visit to kind of shepherd you into the process. If you need more from them and you want them to be with you further along and They can. They're there to provide whatever support you need to successfully advocate for these children. And so their job is to support you. But at least that first visit, they'll go with you and then provide you whatever support you need going forward. No, Jerry, there is no special degree required. Not at all. I have a political science degree. Sorry, go ahead.
You're good. So I'm like talking over you. We also have literature for whenever the advocate supervisor does that first visit with the CASA, and it's kind of like a little pamphlet that explains the foster parents, the teachers, whoever you're meeting with, who you are, what our mission is, what your role will be during the life of this case. So we try to make sure that that transition of meeting these people that you're going to be in so much contact with is very smooth and very transparent, and that they know that your court order, that you have a court order and you have been assigned to the case. So we provide all that information as well.
Yes, thank you. I forgot about that.
Yeah, there's two of us.
Yeah, back and forth. All right.
Let's see. We haven't got any more questions, but I feel like another question that we get a lot constantly, and this is like people with really good intentions, right? But they asked us if they can take their CASA kids to their home or their church or just sharing meals with their family. Sadly, that's a no, and that is for so many reasons. For safety, for your safety, the safety of our children. Like I mentioned before you become a CASA, you're very thoroughly. Kathy and I are hugs when it comes to that, and our process is very rigorous. And you're the only person that has gone through that process. So you cannot take the children to your own home. You cannot take them to your church or public events. Then again, for the safety of your family, your safety, and the safety of our children. So we have
definitely. Yeah. Looks like Rachel, who's a good friend of mine, and hi, Rachel. You guys know Rachel, right? I think. Anyways. Anyone who doesn't know Rachel should know Rachel. But anyway, so Rachel is asking about if the child is part of a sibling set. Yes, it's a great question. And that's a yes. So we are assigned to a case. And a case is centered around a family unit. And so a CASA volunteer is assigned to that case and that set of siblings. Yes. And then thanks, Rachel.
Someone else's Casey's asking again if there is a degree required. There's no degree required. If you have any questions about that, email Kathy or myself. I will be happy to talk to you more about how to apply. We'll get you ready and prepped to become a CASA. No degree required. Just good intentions, kind heart, and ready to step up to help the community.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. Yeah. Do we have any others coming in before we go on to our go do any of our own?
See any more coming in, but people have had some great questions.
Yes, keep it coming.
Interacting with us. This is for you guys, for you to be able to be informed, know what we do, who we are. So thank you everyone for asking those great questions. See a comment from Nicole over here.
Thanks, Nicole.
Aww. Nicole is our director, and she's awesome. If you applied and you get past Kathy and I, and then you go to training, you'll spend a lot of time with her, and she's amazing. Wonderful.
She's amazing.
Tons of knowledge, so patient, just wonderful.
Looks like we have a court question. So yes, sometimes there is some hanging out in the courtroom required. So for those of you, it looks like Rick might know a little bit about how court goes, but for those of you who might not know, there are dockets and multiple cases are put on one docket. So typically in our juvenile courtrooms, there's a 9 a.m., a 10:30, a 1:30, and a 3. So there are 4 dockets on your typical day, and you would be put on one of those dockets on a particular date. And so your case might get called right at 9 a.m. if you're on that 9 o'clock docket, or it might get called at 10:20. and so yeah, that's one thing that CASA should be. There is a basic level of flexibility that you would need to have with your job or other commitments, where you could take a half a day several times a year to hang out in court. Sometimes it's fast, sometimes it's not fast. So we like to be very transparent. So that's a good question. We like to be very transparent about the parts of being a CASA volunteer that aren't super easy. because this is a big decision people make. It's a huge commitment, and it's unfair of us to not be very clear about the parts of it that require a commitment. So yeah, court can be a sit and wait.
The thing is that in most cases you get plenty of advance notice to make arrangements however you need to. So you will know maybe a month or two before the next court hearing. That way you have plenty of time to take off work, make arrangements however you need to. So I feel like that's a great benefit as well.
Definitely.
Nice and everything.
And court is very important. It's where a lot of that advocacy comes to a head. It's where we get to be the eyes and the ears of the court and say, listen, Your Honor, here's what's gone down, and here's what I recommend based on that. So it's very important to come to court.
Yeah, and I think
the judges want to hear from you.
To remind people that might be intimidated by court, that have never been to court before, that supervisor that Kathy and I have been talking about, they're right next to you during that court hearing. The judges want to hear from you. They want you there. You're the person that knows that child or those children best when it comes to these cases. So the advocate supervisor is right next to you. It's a very casual environment. There's no gavel, law order, anything. And I think that's why those court observations during training, they're so helpful because it lets people see that it's not a very scary ordeal. It's actually very interesting, and people want you there. They want to hear from you, and you'll have all the support that you will need if you have never had any experience when it comes to court.
Definitely. And we that's a part that really intimidates a lot of people. So we get you through that. Don't worry, you have tons of support. Yeah. Like Camila said. Did we have another question? Did I see another one?
Yes. Are there CASA events with other volunteers for emotional support? I know a lot of advocate supervisors have their own lunches with their advocates, monthly lunches, I believe they are. Just feel some camaraderie and teamwork efforts. We also have our annual Cheer Store volunteers, which was supposed to happen this Saturday, but due to everything that's happening has been postponed, where we celebrate you as a volunteer, where we recognize the hard work that you put on in these cases. But we do have multiple opportunities for you to meet other causes. And I will also say that class that you go to training with, you become really close with those people. I mean, you spend 8 weeks talking about really, really impactful stuff, hard stuff as well. And these people are from different backgrounds, different ages, different professions. You get really close with these people, and that's also a great support as well. Great support system.
Awesome. So we got another question about the types of cases where you would have a CASA versus a guardian ad litem. And I think every county, every state kind of functions a little differently around here, but our state statutes generally often in Title 10A, CASA and GAL are used interchangeably. A lot of the same rules apply, a lot of the same access applies. But CASAs are preferential. If there is a CASA available, they want to have a CASA volunteer on the case. But that's for deprived cases. So we serve deprived juveniles, so that means that they have been removed from their biological homes due to substantiated abuse or neglect. And so those are the cases on which we serve. You see a lot of guardian ad litems in divorce cases where the children aren't in DHS custody, but they are there's like a custody battle, and so the guardian ad litem comes in to determine what's in the best interest of the child in those situations. But then there are the place for GALs in the juvenile deprived system. A lot of them do when children. There's a hearing to determine if children come into custody that happens before CASA would be assigned because the case hasn't opened yet. And a lot of times you'll have a GAL come in and serve as that child's attorney. So guardian ad litems are attorneys. At least that's how it functions here in Oklahoma County. And CASAs don't have to be attorneys. So I hope that explains that.
That's one that we get a lot as well.
It is. Yeah.
And then we have another question about training. So our next training class will begin Tuesday, June 2nd. That will be an evening class. It will meet on Tuesdays from 5:30 to 8:30 p.m. As of right now, with everything up in the air, we don't know if you'll be able to meet in our building like it usually does or virtually, but we'll definitely have a class beginning in June 2nd. It's a perfect time to apply because, like we've been talking about this whole time, the screening process takes a while. So if you're interested, if you feel like we sold you on it, like this is the time, you've been thinking about it for a long time, trust us, this is the time to do it. Like Kathy said at the beginning of this live stream, we're about to need so many classes. Let's put it that way. Our children are going to need a lot of advocacy, and now is the time. Kathy and I have been doing virtual interviews. We've been adapting like everyone else, but yes, our next class will be June 2nd. And if you head to our website, I will believe there's a schedule on the website when it comes to the trainings, because we do offer multiple trainings per year.
Yes, we do. Definitely. And, if you're just at the point where you just have more questions to ask, that's okay. You can contact us on Facebook, through email, give us a call. We're here. We want to talk to you, man. So please send us your questions. Again, please don't think you'll reach out and get pressured. That's not what we're about. That's not what we're about. We want to make sure that we provide you with all of the information you could possibly need to make a decision for yourself if being a CASA is right for you. But at the same time, we want to inspire and empower you because one of the hardest things for us when we hear about child abuse and neglect is that feeling of helplessness. Because is there anything I can do about that? And typically, you think, no, I'm completely helpless to make this problem better, and that's actually not true. CASA is that platform through which everyday citizens like yourself can do something about it. And so we want to empower you because you do have you can influence the outcome for these children.
Yes. Do it.
I see another question. Is CASA in other states?
Yes. Over 900 programs in the entire United States, and we have 23 programs here in Oklahoma. So yes, we're everywhere. I think there's only one state that doesn't have a CASA program.
North Dakota. And I'm like, I want to go to North Dakota and be like, do you all understand what you're missing out on? Because and I think that that's such a good indicator of how effective CASA is and useful CASA is in the juvenile deprived system. The way CASA programs are set up, that's set up through the presiding judge and the court. That's what our affiliation is. So unless those juvenile judges want a CASA program, there will not, involved in the court, there won't be. Our access comes from the court. So I just think that's very telling that in the 42 years CASA as a huge national organization has existed, we've gone to over 900 programs. That's very telling to me how effective CASA is and useful.
And then again, if you felt like we sold you on it and sorry, my dog's barking. Sorry, I have a tiny little dog that thinks he's bigger than he actually is. But we might have the link to apply here in the comments if BC can do that. If you hold to that link, you fill out the application, it comes straight to Kathy and I. We'll contact you, we'll set up an interview, we run background checks, and then we'll just have you ready. Sorry. We'll have you ready for that June 2nd class or whichever class you want, because we'll be offering more classes the remaining of the year. You will laugh if you got to see my dog. He's this big and he's barking a lot. I don't know what's happening. So, yes.
I love it. He's not as shrill as my Schnauzer though, so that's good. Well, we want to thank you all for tuning in, and we got a lot of really great questions. And I'll say that inquisitive nature and that thoroughness of thinking, that's what we look for in CASAs. That's what our children need. They need somebody asking the questions that the child doesn't know to ask and can't get the answers to. Yes, so here in Oklahoma County, if you live in Oklahoma County, you would serve through our program. And there are other programs that serve other states and, other counties. And so we're happy to get you connected to the right program if it's not ours. Now, our children are typically placed in Oklahoma County, but not always. So it could be an Oklahoma County case, meaning it's ours, but the child is in like a foster home or group home that's out of county. That can happen. And so sometimes CASAs are driving out of county to see their kids, but it would still be an Oklahoma County case. So that's a little complicated. I can go further into that with you if you'd like.
Yeah, great question as well.
I see some really good potential CASA volunteers asking questions today. So we would love to hear from you. But gosh, they asked better questions than we had prepared. Are you, oh yes, so okcountycasa.org. That's our website, and there is a tab at the top that says volunteer, and if you click on it and then click volunteer, it'll take you right to our application. If you fill out
website too, it's a really pretty website. So
it's beautiful.
Browsing around, we have videos and articles and tons of information about our staff members, what we do. So definitely check it out.
Yes. And if we haven't motivated you enough, you might watch Andre's story that's on that volunteer page. Our own communications director, BC, worked with marketing firm to put that together, and it does such a good job capturing our why. We tend to get on here and tell you what we do, how we do it, because you need those details in order. Did I just mute? Okay, I don't know what's happening. I hope you can hear me. Okay, can you hear me? Yeah. That was weird. All of a sudden, the little microphone went up and said I was muted. Sorry, but it does a good job talking about why we do all these things, why we go to all this effort. And it's because these children deserve to have someone on their side. They've had things happen to them that are not within their control and should never have happened to them. They're dealing with things they never should have had to deal with. And they have very little power. None really, no control. And so when a CASA comes in, then there is a person who is exclusively dedicated to finding out what's really going on in that case, what's really going on with that kid, and pushing for what's best for them. It's life-changing. So that's our why. And Andre's story does a really good job.
It's a great video. I've seen it 100 times, and let me tell you, I'll cry every time. It's gotten to a point where Kathy and I know the words by heart. And so
me too.
Great video. Yes, please watch it. Share it with your friends.
Yeah.
Share our posts, Instagram posts. We're very active in social media. So even if you can't volunteer this time, make sure you're spreading our message. If you have a friend, family member, someone that you know that might be a great cause, send them our way. We'd love to talk to them.
Definitely. If everyone who hears our messages either volunteered, donated, or shared or followed us on social media and shared when they felt moved to, we'd be really taking care of more than the 1/3 of children that we're taking care of now. So 2/3 of our children in DHS custody in Oklahoma County don't have a CASA. So we have Anita. Hi, Anita is asking about the age range. So that is, it could be all the way up to the day before they turn 18. And there are sadly babies that don't get to go home with their parents from the hospital. So we can have newborns all the way up till they age out of care.
Yes, and then again, we ask you about those preferences. While we ask you to keep an open mind, if you feel more comfortable with a certain group or you have more experience, we'll definitely like to know that, because that helps us during the matching process. So I don't want to say you get to choose, because, you know, it's just, we don't know what kind of cases we have, but we definitely take that into account when it comes to matching. And then we had another question from Jerry. He's asking if you are required to serve in the county that you live. So as Kathy mentioned before, you have to either live or work in Oklahoma County to be able to serve with us. And at that point, it's your choice. if our courthouse is closer to your work or your house, and you'll just like it'll be more convenient for you to volunteer with us, then that's okay. That's just your preference.
Definitely. We have a section of volunteers that definitely lives outside of our county but works here, and that's okay. That's okay.
You have to live or work in Oklahoma County, and then you should be good to go. What great questions. Thank you everyone for engaging with us today.
Yes.
Awesome questions.
Awesome. So many good questions. Camila, can you think of any of our frequently asked questions we didn't answer?
I think we covered most of them, especially because we had some great questions. I didn't even get to open my list.
I know.
Safety, we covered a little bit when it comes to bringing the children into your home. But a lot of people also ask us about their own safety. They might be apprehensive about dealing with parents or other parties involved in this case, and we always tell them that we take safety very seriously. We will never put you as a CASA in any dangerous situation. And Kathy has been with CASA for a very long time, and she always shares how she's never experienced any scary instances or any scary experiences. So we definitely take safety very, very seriously. Then again, if you feel uncomfortable going on a visit, that's what your supervisor is there for. You can go with them, you can tag team with the DHS worker. The details of your specific case will be planned out with your supervisor, but safety is our priority, and you will never be in a dangerous situation.
Definitely. And keep in mind, as a CASA volunteer, you're an officer of the court. And so while these cases are certainly emotionally charged, danger is another level that, and in 11 years, I've never, don't believe I've ever been in danger. I've been in a lot of homes, and I've been in homes of people who were very mad at me because they didn't like the recommendations or, I was pushing for. So it's important to know that that's not as much of a concern as you might think it would be.
For sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. Then again, if you like what you heard, if we sold you on it, or if you've just been thinking about it for a long time, now it's the time. Head to our website, okcountycasa.org, find the application, and or before you do that, if you have any questions, Kathy and I will be happy to talk to you about it.
Definitely. Child abuse and neglect, kind of if not me, who? If not you, who? It's an easy problem to ignore because we don't necessarily see it, but I guarantee you it's happening. It's happening in every zip code in our county, every neighborhood in our county. It is happening right under our noses. So, and these are our kids. And so, during this whole pandemic, we've certainly been worried about the children that we are already serving and making sure they're okay, making sure they have what they need, and about their physical and emotional health. But I tell you, I think we're even more scared for the children that we haven't met yet, but we're going to, because of the stress families are under right now. So we would love to have as many of you join our CASA families.
For sure.
As you move to.
We have a class coming up in June, so now it's the perfect time to go ahead and go through a screening process with Kathy and I. We'll get you ready, and then we will offer more training cycles during the year. But if you feel like you're ready to go, we're doing virtual interviews. We're accommodating. We're being flexible with the circumstances that we're going through right now. So do it. This is a sign. You've been thinking about it for a long time, and you're here watching us, take it as a sign.
Exactly. Well, thank you. Thank you all. And so we will see you again very soon. You might want to tune in. We've got our very first ever virtual open house on Wednesday, the 29th, and then on Thursday, the 30th, we'll have our next regular live stream. So see you soon, and keep the questions coming. Anything else, Camila, that we've forgotten?
I think that, I mean, that's all the time we've got. We don't want to take a lot of your time watching us at home, but then again, feel free to share this live stream with people that you know. Go to our website, Instagram. We're so active. Well, I said we. BC is always very active in our media, sharing great articles, great messages, fun trivia stuff about our staff members. So make sure you're engaging on those, guessing the right questions, and thank you everyone for letting us come into your computers and phones today. Okay.
Yay! Thank you.
I think